Hey everybody, this is Gino Boost from GameMusicForAll.com. Right now you are listening to Game Music for All Live Game Music Remix Radio. As I said, I'm your host, Gino Boost, here to bring you all of this great music. Also hit some of the wrong buttons there. I had a whole thing written out. Give me a moment. Alright, welcome to Game Music for All Live, the live version of the website in which you get the latest game music remixes, game-inspired music, indie game soundtracks, soundtracks to video games that never existed, and so much more. Many wonderful musicians and artists are kind enough to send me their music, and in turn, I get to share it with you, my audience, via a 1 hour live recorded radio stream, which is happening right now. Instead of, blogging about it on my website, GameMusicForAll.com, now I can just share the music with you directly, and then from there you could head over to the artist Bandcamp page or SoundCloud page or personal website, maybe, in this crazy day and age. Behind me now, you're hearing music by Yoko Shimomura from the Parasite Eve original soundtrack. And to kick off the show, we heard October Mermaid by Michael Hoffman from the Materia Collective tribute to Xenogears known as Omega. And in the background, we're hearing more Yoko Shimomura. This is Phrase of Mitochondria. If you couldn't tell, I'm sharing a lot of creepier music on this episode. That intro wasn't too creepy, more of, what would you call it? Bitter, remorseful, just kind of a Halloween mood. But we'll be hearing creepy music from the likes of Stemage on this episode. Nathan Cleary, always got to bump some of his music, and I've got the latest from him. We'll be hearing some 2018 music from Rosen. Some Majora's Mask, definitely got to get that in for the Halloween season. Plenty more to come up, not just on this episode, but every episode of the Halloween season. In October, I'm going to be bumping plenty of awesome, kind of creepy, or at least from kind of creepy video games. Parasite Eve was kind of like Square's answer to the Resident Evil series, and I thought it was a great answer when the game came out. I mean, it was basically Resident Evil, but with RPG battle mechanics. So instead of just running up and shooting something, you'd run up, and then the battle mode would start, and then you would start shooting. But then you would earn experience after you were done shooting. It was fantastic. And then Parasite Eve 2 came out, and that was like super rushed. I thought the story could have been good, but the music... Besides that, though, the game was still pretty fun. It was pretty much the same thing, except the story was much worse. So, it has that going for it. Alright. I want to talk about the next musician coming up. We've got something from my man Stemage here, who's been hard at work on tons of indie game soundtracks, along with his own game music covers, as well as his brand new one-man live show. The man puts in work. And I'm glad to share with you one of his latest soundtracks, up now in Apple Arcade. If you're paying $5 a month for that, you can play Card of Darkness, which has not only Stemage on the music, it has Pendleton Ward created the art. When you see the artwork from the game, you'll major Adventure Time style vibes, definitely. Looks like a fun little game, but as with all games I feature on here that aren't more than 10 years old or so, unless it's a Nintendo game, otherwise I haven't played it. Mobile games especially iOS mobile games. Especially iOS mobile games that require a subscription service to Apple Arcade. Alright, anyway, this is Stamage coming up with a couple tracks from his latest indie game soundtrack, Card of Darkness. Welcome back. I continue to be your host, Geno Boost, here from GameMusicForAll.com, and you are listening to Game Music for All Live, video game inspired music from tons of artists all over the world. And for more game music related content, you can find me at all these links here. Head over to GameMusicForAll.com, and you can support and subscribe on my Patreon page. Help keep the music streaming, help make everything wonderful in my life, monetarily speaking. By checking that out, you'll also be subject to lots of exclusive stuff, some articles I post on there, some early videos I might have ready to go. You'll be the first to see them. Also, you can find me all over the internet at Geno Boost on Twitter, at Game Music for All on Instagram. Of course, subscribe to the show, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, or Mixer. Just add /Game Music for All and you'll find me there. So let's get into the music we just heard. After we heard from Card of Darkness, 2 tracks by Stemage, known as Glenhorn Forest, and Oh Hi, What By. After that, we heard from one of my latest favorite musicians, the indie game soundtrack to Chook and Sosig, Walk the Plank. We heard The Haunted Treasure Caves by Nathan Cleary Music. After that is an album I'm still not tired of, the 2018 Rosen release, March of the Giants, from the album Children of Termina. Definitely got to be bumping that if you're all about those spooky Halloween songs right now. Behind me, we continue to have Parasite Eve original soundtrack by Yoko Shimomura from the 1998 video game. And this is the part of the show where I get to talk about some stuff. Some stuff I wrote some notes for. But first, I would like to give a shout out to my Patreon subscribers, Sam, Nicholas, and the Grammar Club, all of which help support the show monetarily, and I'd like to thank you very much for keeping the music alive. Okay, so in the Halloween spirit, there's a few things I need to touch on. But first, Pokemon. I just saw the newest Pokemon Sword and Shield trailer, had a few thoughts about it. All they really showed off in this trailer was the new Gigantamax forms for a couple Pokemon, but they're pretty fantastic forms. The first one that really caught my attention was the Charizard. Too bad I don't have images here to share. But Charizard with his fire wings was very rad. I didn't even notice until someone pointed it out after I watched the video that we got old school Pikachu, the nice rotund version with the short stubby legs, the kind of Pokemon that wasn't animated to move very much before, Pikachu lost some weight, thinned out. Good for him. But his Gigantamax form puts on a few pounds. And then we definitely, I guess the star of the video was the Long Cat Meowth. That one was great. It caught me by surprise for sure. But I think my personal favorite of the Gigantamax Pokemon forms they revealed for Pokemon Sword and Shield was the Butterfree. That was like some Mothra level Butterfree there. So hopefully if like Tyranitar gets like a Gigantamax form, that'll be a nice, and grows some like spikes out of its back, that'll be a sweet battle. Alright, got a few other things to speak on. Where is that sound coming from? Alright, we're just gonna go ahead and not pay attention to that for now. Oh, there we go. It was coming from me. Hope I wasn't getting feedback on the show. Anyway, now on to the Halloween level discussion. First up, I want to talk about the scariest game I ever played. The scariest game I personally ever played was Monster Party for the NES. It's not a particularly scary game, but just the weirdest part in the first level where everything seems like nice and sunshine, everything's chill and fine, and then suddenly the entire stage becomes bloody screaming skulls. Like even things that weren't skulls before become skulls. Like every object basically becomes a permanently screaming bloody skull. And that has an effect on you when you're like 5. Who released this game? What a... Well, I remember the game though. Crazily enough, it never even came out in Japan, even though that was like the crazier version. And there were just some weird things about the game that didn't fit in the context of games as I understood them at the time. It was all too much for me. It scarred me for life. At this point, in this day and age, I can't even play scary games. I realized this when I was playing Resident Evil Revelations back when it came out on the 3DS all those years ago. Maybe like 10 years ago now. But, no, more like 5 or 6 years ago. But anyway, I got Resident Evil Revelations for the 3DS. I was playing it alone at night, had my headphones on, and just me in the dark with the 3DS open. And I got to like the third zombie, and I was like, I can't do this no more. I just shut it. It was too much. Like, especially sitting alone in the dark. I could handle some scary games if, like, it's the right atmosphere, like I'm with friends, it's daylight outside. No, not that far, but it's a lot easier to play horror games with people around. And you could kind of laugh it off a little. When I'm by myself, alone, can't. Too spooky. I guess my favorite. I don't really consider it a scary game, but it is a scary game franchise. Resident Evil 4, just a fantastic game. I know it gets ported to like every single system, but that's a good thing. It's a great game. I mean, if you haven't played it, you probably own several devices you could download it to right now, and it's usually like just $20. Oh, I also wanted to mention I played Dino Crisis before. I played the original Dino Crisis in one sitting because I didn't have a memory card. Luckily, it's only like a 5 or 6 hour game, and it wasn't very good. I mean, I had already played Resident Evil and knew I didn't really like it, but this had dinosaurs in it. But that wasn't enough, especially after I got eaten by a T-Rex multiple times just by walking into the wrong spot in a room. Why would a T-Rex just bust through a window anyway? Too many questions. I should play that game again. Behind me, we're hearing plenty more Yoko Shimomura tracks. We've heard Plosive Attack, Missing Perspective, Memory 2, Force Trail. Coming up, we have Phrase of Eve. And coming up, got a little more talking to do. Because I've been thinking about what makes a game scary in general. Like, there's a couple ways you come at what makes a scary game. I guess it's the atmosphere, of course. If you're making like a game specifically to scare people with the game, the atmosphere is very important. You got to be in some sort of creepy location, or maybe in a not creepy location but becomes much creepier over time, or the location is so uncreepy that that itself makes it creepy. Anyway, atmosphere is obviously important. The controls, now that's an interesting one, because not having control over your character can lead to a lot of tense moments, but at the same time, if you're not controlling your character, you're not really playing the game. Or you can have ways to limit a player's controls, like in Silent Hill, where the controls are a little clunky and slow. It makes you feel more like a normal human and not like some super action hero that can, sorry, like a guy that can punch forever. Or remember the game Blasto, where dude just holds his arm out the whole time. Very tiring, not realistic. Bad control, bad atmosphere, not scary at all. Blasto, you failed this test. Um, Storyline, of course, gotta have that creepy story. Um, Creepy story could be anything from, what is it? The kid getting kidnapped in Heavy Rain, that's scary. Or, Monster Party, where just monsters are attacking you. That's kind of scary. Um, but anyway, I actually want to talk about the controls more. I think it's interesting in a game like Silent Hill, where the controls being clunky is part of the game's design. The same with something like Eternal Darkness, which kind of wrests control from you at certain points in the game. Likes to mess with your psyche a little. Of course, art style can make a game creepy, but usually, like, they know they're going for a creepy style when they create the game. Most games aren't really creepy looking, but they can be like gory or intense, realistic, or surprising. But besides controls, which I think is an interesting way to try to scare a player, because nothing's scarier than controls not working. Like, I'd be pretty scared when I'm playing Mario Kart with my brother and he just unplugs my controller on me. Terrifying. But what's really another interesting one I think about is the game, does the game genre specifically have to be scary? Can any video game genre be scary? I assume so. Because there's the actual genre of survival horror, which is made to be creepy because it's horror and survival, and usually you're trying to survive horrifying situations. Guess that makes sense. But also, like, can a shoot 'em up be creepy? I guess if you made like scary enemies, but I don't think like the controls and the mechanics would lend itself to a uniquely scary situation. The same for racing games. Can there be like a survival horror racing game? Does that exist? I want to try it right now. What else is there? And I'm just mixing and mashing now, but you get the idea. Like, I want to see a scary version of every game genre now, especially for the Halloween season. I'm not gonna play the games, because I'll be terrified and scared. But I 100% support anyone making scary versions of known genres. Like shoot 'em ups have cute ups for things like Twinbee and Parodius. Why can't there be like scary ups? But someone could come up with a better version of that, or like a scary music rhythm game, or a scary dance rhythm game. I'm running out of ideas here. And considering so many indie developers, I feel like some of these things definitely already exist. Alright, but enough about what's scary and some of that Pokemon stuff. It's time to get into the next block of music here. We're going to be hearing a duo of fantastic indie game soundtracks that have come out this year. First up, we'll be hearing the album Ghosts, we'll be hearing the album Alcinor original game soundtrack from the game Alcinor, of course. We'll be hearing the track Ghosts by Adam Gubman. This 2019 album to the game Alcinor is absolutely atmospheric, perfect background music for that Halloween party, and great music in general, of course. That's why I'm going to play it. After that, we've got some great music from another 2019 indie Darling, I'm sure you'll know. No need, no need for introduction for that track, but I'll mention it after the track goes over well. Alright, I've talked for a long time and I'm running out of energy. So enjoy this track, Matrix. And coming up, we have music from Elsinore. Welcome back. We just heard the unparalleled, incredible music of Lena Raine with her latest, the Celeste Farewell soundtrack. And that track was the titular Farewell, an incredible 8-minute track that had to share no matter how long it was. Right now we're hearing more from Yoko Shimomura from Parasite Eve original soundtrack, The Omission of the World. Before we heard Farewell by Lena Raine, we got to hear Ghost by Adam Gubman from the Elsinore original game soundtrack. You can check out both those game soundtracks on the creator or on the artist Bandcamp pages. If you follow the chat, you'll see me posting links to all of the artists' album info up in the chat. So just click those links, grab those albums, spend that money on beautiful, beautiful music. Speaking of which, while you're spreading the love, be sure to check out patreon.com/GenoBoost. You could become a subscriber and help support the show. I should also mention what GameMusicForAll.com is as well. GameMusicForAll.com is a website where you can find a lot of the best and latest game music tributes, game inspired albums, and so much more. Every genre I cover, from chiptunes to hip hop, EDM, metal, folk, jazz, so much more. As long as it's inspired by video games, it's fair game for me. All of it is created by incredible artists with as much love for video games as you or I, along with incredible indie game soundtracks and game-inspired original albums that continue to blur the line between what is and is not game music. But I do my very best to bring it all to you as often as possible, so make sure you check out GameMusicForAll.com for more game music videos, streams, podcasts, articles, and more. Very important. I do want to mention I have a Patreon page. If you want more game music streaming in your ears every week, right now I can only do about 2 hours a week, but if I made money doing this, it would provide quite the incentive. So make sure you support via Patreon. Also subscribe to the stream, twitch.tv or youtube.com, mixer.com/GameMusicForAll. You can bother me on Twitter with your game music request at GenoBoost, or on Instagram at GameMusicForAll. And the final thing I need to mention is head over to GameMusicForAll.com and you'll find submission or contact links. Just head over there. You could tell me all about your new game inspired album. So GameMusicForAll.com/contact, and you could send me all the info I need, the album itself, if you want me to bump it on the show. And that's how you get played on this show. Is, just tell me you have music and then allow me to download it so that I can play it on here. If you just want me to hear the music, just link it to me. I'll check it out. Alright. So one thing I've learned with this first episode is I've made these talking segments far too long, at least for now. Once I actually write down the topics I want to touch upon, it's probably going to be a lot easier to breeze through these talking segments. So right now I'm just hanging out. What do you want to talk about? Okay. Well, we've got Pokemon coming out next month. Hopefully I can pre-load that game soon, because I already got one of those Nintendo vouchers to get this game. Those vouchers were awesome. Bring them back, Nintendo. $100 for 2 games. 2 brand new day 1 games. Can't be beat. I should have just bought one more voucher, but I'm worried Nintendo won't have enough good games before the voucher runs out. Maybe that's their game. We'll release these vouchers for new games. Stop releasing the new games. At least the ones I want. Well, the only new game I would want, and they better do this. Luigi's Mansion is done this Halloween. It's out of the way. There's no 3DS versions Luigi's Mansion coming out. Get to work. I'm talking to you, Next Level Games. I know you're watching. Get to work on Super Mario Strikers Charged Switch Edition. Make it happen. That's the kind of 4-player, maybe you could have like 6 players playing. Come on, Nintendo, make it happen. Alright, we've got one more block of music for you all. And it consists of some music by Stamage. He's back, this time with his 2012 album, with the power duo of him and Zoc. On the album Where Good Marbles Go to Die, we're going to hear Dust, featuring Zoc. Welcome back once again. I continue to be your host, Geno Boost. We just heard some fantastic music there. Right now, we're hearing Kairi by Yoko Shimomura from Parasite Eve original soundtrack. During the block, we heard from Brian Roque, his album Video Game Piano Arrangements Volume 1. We heard Lost Woods from my personal favorite Zelda, Link to the Past. Before that, we heard another childhood favorite of mine, music from Marble Madness. We heard Where Good Marbles Go to Die, Marble Madness tribute. From Stamage, featuring Zoc, we heard the track Dust. That's pretty much all the music I have planned for today. The show is now only 1 hour long, as opposed to former episodes, which were 2 hours long. One thing I love about the show being 1 hour long, other than it being 1 hour long, is that there's half the chance of something going wrong. Or forgetting to press a button, pressing the wrong button, a computer crashing. All of it is cut in half, just because I cut the show in half. It also gives me more time to focus on each individual artist and track. Before, I used to have to gather 2 hours of music. Now it's only about 30 minutes of music, considering I just choose one soundtrack for my background music. If you have suggestions for what soundtrack I should use in a future episode, definitely let me know. Hit me up on Twitter at GenoBoost with any suggestions for songs to play, soundtracks to use, themes for shows. That would be helpful. Well, of course, October is all kind of creepy themed, and the music will get creepier. Don't worry, I'm saving the best for the October 30th episode. That's when you're gonna get the creep factor can only go up. Thanks again. If you're tuning into the show, I'm streaming right now via YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, and even my own personal Facebook page, which you can see if you're a personal friend of mine. Eventually I'll move to actual Facebook streaming when I can afford it. Patreon. But you can see me for free via any of these links. So who needs Facebook? Those big liars. I know what they're up to, keeping my Facebook fan page stuck at 800 fans for like 5 years now. Facebook. Alright, anyway though, we have one more track to ride out on. As with all the other episodes, I like to end with some sort of ending theme from a game. I'm still kind of working it out, how it's going to work, because I'm using the same background soundtracks for both Saturday and Wednesday episodes. Different songs, same soundtrack, but most soundtracks only have one ending theme. So I put this to you: should I use like a staff roll and the ending theme, like the ending story theme? Usually a lot of games have 2 ending themes in that way. Or should I just use the official staff roll ending theme for both days? I'll think about it at least. I'll probably be the only one that thinks about it. And also, I would like to show you around the intermission page real quick. You can see the talk area. That's me talking. Well, not really talking, typing. Of course, you can see the image here in the battle zone. So I've been putting together videos so that things look a little nicer. I had a different layout before, if you remember, and it was kind of messy looking. This RPG format seems to suit things much better. You can see your band over on the bottom right. They're the ones helping you go into action. Kind of like your squad. You have info for the album, including the album art. And you got scrolling by, you got the title track. You've got the name of the artist, name of the album, name of the song. You've got some sweet animation going on in the middle. I'm trying to curate every week. Now that I only pick about 30 minutes of songs, I can choose exactly what kind of, well, not exactly, but it's a lot easier to choose the graphics instead of just playing commercials like I was before. Anyway, we're at the end of our show. Thanks again for tuning in. I've been your host, Gino Boost. I have an outro blurb I need to use. Alright. Thanks for watching Game Music for All live. Game Music Remix Radio every Wednesday and Saturday, showcasing the latest game music and more. Make sure you check out the archives and subscribe to the show. Stream on YouTube, Twitch, or Mixer. Major thanks to our Patreon subscribers, Sam, Nicholas, and the Grammar Club. Become a supporter on Patreon as well. At patreon.com/GinoBoost. Thank you for listening to another Game Music for All live Game Music Remix Radio, and enjoy the final track.